Hi, Siva.
Hi, sir.
So, what is your demo today?
So today we are going to deploy a WordPress two-tier setup by using Terraform and as well as Python automation script.
So, Python, you are doing WordPress two-tier architecture setup first time, right?
Yeah, this is first time.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, basically in previous we have done this WordPress two-tier setup using manual process and Terraform and cloud formation in AWS cloud. So now we are going to deploy a WordPress two-tier architecture by using this Terraform and as well as Python automation script. Okay, without delay, let's go into the user requirement basically. So here the user wants to deploy a WordPress website on a VM virtual machine. So by using the Terraform automation and as well as Python automation script. So basically here we are implementing a two-tier architecture where in front end the WordPress need to be installed and in the back end the MySQL server is running to fetch the data. Then we are going to automate this entire deployment using Python script as well as Terraform. And also while implementing this automation, so we are going to securing the infrastructure with networking and with proper networking and as well as IAM policies to access the particular WordPress website. So this is our WordPress deployment architecture. So coming to the next point, user story. So the scenario like as a DevOps or cloud engineer. So I want to deploy a WordPress application using Terraform for infrastructure as a code and Python for automation. So while developing this, I make ensure the scalability follows for my application and which allows the system to handle the increased traffic efficiently. So that we need to take care of it as well as it will enhance the security by following the best practices that will control the access. So and also it will improve the maintainability by making these automation deployments and it will through the console CLI. So these are the benefits of infrastructure deployment. Make ensure following the best practices and it will allow the system to handle the increased traffic scalability as well as maintainability. So today this is the demo objective we are following. I'm following this. So the first one is introduction to Terraform. So why Terraform? What is the Terraform actually? And what are the prerequisites to do this solution demo? Then what is the architecture of the WordPress two-tier setup? Then what is the Terraform code, automation code to deploy the WordPress two-tier setup? And what are the plan of execution of Terraform? Then we will see all this Python automation and everything. So this is the guide demo objective. First, what is the Terraform basically? So Terraform is a infrastructure as a code. So what does it mean? So if you take one example, just like in general way, so just like a recipe tells you about how to cook a dish. So this Terraform will tell the cloud whether it is AWS or Azure or GCP. So this Terraform is common for any cloud. So it will tell to the cloud so how to create a resources like servers, databases, auto scaling groups, any kind of clusters. So this will tell to the cloud. So that is the infrastructure as a code IAC tool. Then the second one is it works with multiple cloud providers. So this Terraform will work with many like multiple cloud providers, AWS, Azure and GCP. So you can use the same Terraform code to create any servers on AWS, Azure or even Google Cloud services. And this Terraform uses a declarative approach model. So instead of writing step-by-step instruction to create a resource, so you just take example. So I need 3 servers. So you can create by using this Terraform. as well as Python. So it will tell to the AWS or Azure or even GCP. So I need 3 servers. You can create these resources in the cloud. Then it creates the tag of changes with the state file. So this state file we need to maintain. Basically, in organizations, we have different workspaces like dev, testing, staging, pre-prod, and prod. So to maintain the different workspaces, so we need to take care of the state file. So the state file will contains all the information which is related to our infrastructure. So this Terraform will remember what it will create. So if you take some example, like I need some 4 servers. So basically we created in earlier 3 servers. Now it will only add one more server instead of recreating everything, because this Terraform state file will know already we have created 3 servers. Now is asking again one more server. So this Terraform file is very act as a intelligence. So this knows everything about infrastructure creation in the cloud services. Then the fifth one is Terraform uses HCL, HashiCorp Configuration Language. We are using this HashiCorp configuration language. So it will write the Terraform code is like a one like of filling out a form, general form. So where you can specify what you need, what is the requirements. So then this Terraform takes care of the details and it will create the resources, whatever you need for the infrastructure setup. So this is all about Terraform and why we need Terraform. So come to the prerequisite part. So in order to do this demo, you need Azure account, one free trial account. So you can sign up with your email, then you can create your account. Then Terraform need to install in your local machine. So where you can download your latest version from the Terraform website. Then also you need to download the Visual Studio Code. So we here this Visual Studio Code. So where you can download from the internet, and also the Terraform extension in the Visual Studio Code also you can download. Then finally we need install like Azure CLI, where you can download from the Azure itself, Azure Cloud. So you can just type in internet Azure CLI, so that you will get a link and you can download it directly from the internet. So this is our architecture, where this is my 2-tier architecture, where this is my subscription. Under this subscription, we have a resource group. So this resource group will have all the resources, whatever we create infrastructure, everything will come under resource group. So if I want to delete total infrastructure, so if I delete the resource group, entirely infrastructure will be deleted. So inside this, I have virtual network, say Azure virtual network. So this is my secure virtual network, where I have placed my like web type. This is the front end subnet, and this is my database tier subnet in the backend. So here I'm installing deploying the one virtual machine. On that virtual machine, I'm going to deploy WordPress site. So in the backend, here is my SQL server is running, where you can take the credentials from this MySQL server from the database. So you can access this virtual machine from the public IP. And this whole infrastructure we are creating with the help of Terraform as well as Python. So this is our infrastructure. So coming to the code, like Terraform code. So basically this is our state file. So this is Terraform. So you can easily get from the internet state file, this code here. So backend, and the name of this name Azure RM. So this is the result word. You can take it from the Azure cloud itself. Then function open closes. So resource group name, I'm going to take the rg-demo2 type. Then storage account name, this one. Then container name, this one. So because basically this one we are maintaining the state file. So that is for this one. And basically we need one provider.tf because we are going to tell the cloud in which cloud platform you are going to create the infrastructure. So for that purpose, we need to create the provider.tf. So this is the provider for Azure RM, then futures. This is the resource group creation. Okay, resource, then Azure RM underscore resource underscore group. Then this is my name. You can take any name, no issue. So this you can change anything. Then I need this resource group in a location. So here I am taking the variable where.resource group location. Then I'm also giving the name also. So that is I'm considering as a variable again where.resource group name. The next one I'm creating virtual network. So as we discussed in the architecture, so I created resource group. Then now I'm creating virtual network for my secure infrastructure. For that, again I'm taking resource Azure RM virtual network VNet name. You can take any name, then name. So this you can take it from internet. So nothing here in like rocket science. Just you can type Azure VNet Terraform. So whatever you need resources under your virtual network, you can take it. You can take that part. This one, resource Azure virtual network. Then you can take any name. So here under we have certain parameters where our name, location, resource group name, address space. This I have taken here. Name, location, resource group, address space. So again I am taking a name as a where virtual network name. Then this is my location, Azure RM resource group dot org name dot location. Then my resource group name is again same Azure RM resource group dot org name dot name. So here I'm taking this CIDR range for my virtual network 10.0.0/16. This is my CIDR range for my virtual network. And I am giving the tag as well. Environment is dev. So after that I am creating two subnets. One is for web server subnet and another one is for DB server subnet. So again taking resource Azure RM underscore subnet. This is my name of the subnet. Again taking name web server subnet, then resource group name. It is also like Azure RM resource group dot rgname dot name. This is common. Then virtual network name is not Azure RM virtual network dot vnet dot name. Then I am taking the subnet range is 10.0.1.0/24 for my web subnet. Then for DB server subnet, same thing, same code, like resource Azure RM subnet. So this is DB server subnet. The name is DB server hyphen subnet. Then resource group name is Azure RM resource group dot rgname dot name. Then virtual network name is same Azure RM underscore virtual underscore network dot vnet dot name. Again, here I also taking the range is 10.0.2.0/24. So under the virtual network, I created two subnets. Now I need to create the network security group for web server as well as DB server. So this is like a resource, then Azure RM underscore network underscore security underscore group. Then this is my security group for my web server. So here I am taking again name. So I am taking consider as a variable also for this where dot web server subnet NSG. Then location is same Azure RM underscore resource underscore group dot rgname dot location. Then resource group name is because I'm associated this wherever you create anything. So you need to in the manual we are going to select location, right, and also resource group. Same way here we need to take these values and associated with this network security group. Then security rule. So I'm taking the SSH and another one is HTTP. So here the priority, you can take any number, and the direction is, this is the inbound security group, and I am allowing this access is allow. Then this protocol SSH is TCP protocol. Then I am allowing is for the demo purpose star. It will allow all ranges of IP range. Then destination port range is 22. Then source address prefix is star. I am taking star for this demo. And another security rule is HTTP, where the protocol is TCP, and it will allow the access, and also the direction is inbound. Then this port number, port range is 80. So this is the network security group for web server. And the network security group for DB server is same resource Azure RM underscore network underscore security underscore group. Then this is my name. Then this is the name where.db server subnet nsg. Then this is my location, and this is my resource group name. Then again I'm taking the security rules. So I'm taking the SSH. Then the protocol is TCP, and it will allow the inbound access. Then the port range is 22. And one more rule is, here I'm connecting to the database. So I'm opening this inbound MySQL. So that port range is 3306. The protocol is same TCP, and the direction is inbound. I'm opening in the backend database server. So now I need to create web server and DB server. For that, I need to create one public IP. So resource Azure RM underscore public underscore IP, web server public IP. Then this is the name. Then this is the location. Then this is the resource group name. So here I'm taking public IP as a static. Then we need to create network interface for this web server. Network interface code basically. So this is the resource Azure RM network underscore interface. Then this is my NAC name, web server NAC. Then I am taking name web server NAC. Then this is the location. Then this is the resource group. Here I am configuring my subnet with my public this address name web server NAC configuration. Then this is my subnet ID. So this is my Azure RM subnet web server subnet.id. Here I am taking the address private IP address allocation dynamic. Then public IP address is Azure RM public IP, this one Azure RM public IP dot web server public IP dot ID. I'm configuring inside my network security group with my web server with this subnet ID. Now I need to connect the security group. So I already created network security group for web server. Now I need to connect the security group to the network interface. This one. I need to connect the security group to this network interface to allow the traffic. So resource Azure RM network interface security group association. This is my name of this security group with the network interface association. So network interface ID. So we already created a network interface at Azure RM network interface dot web server NIC dot ID. So this one I'm taking Azure RM network interface dot web server NIC dot ID, because basically here I'm doing the association with my network interface ID as well as security group. So resource Azure RM subnet network security group association. This is my web server's web subnet associative, and this is my subnet ID Azure RM subnet dot web server subnet dot ID. Then this is my network security group. So here I'm associating one with network interface, another one is subnet. So finally I'm creating virtual machine for the web server. So resource Azure RM underscore Linux underscore virtual underscore machine web server VM. This is my name of the virtual machine. So I'm taking the name, the location same, the resource group name same as we discussed earlier, and here I'm taking some parameter size, what kind of size you need to for this VM. I'm taking the standard DS underscore DS1 V2. and I'm taking this admin username Ubuntu, and this network interface ID. Here I'm taking, which I created earlier. Then this custom data. So here I'm taking the base64 encode. So basically this will take this file webserver.sh. So I created one file with bash script webserver.sh that I have connected with this base64 encode. So it will read all these installation steps from this webserver.sh. For this I'm taking the OS disk also. So it will, like, the caching is read write. Then the storage account type of this OS disk is standard-LRS. I'm taking this basic only. Then source image references, I'm taking the Ubuntu server local, and the publisher is canonical. So this everything you can take it from the Azure documentation. Then the version is latest. So I'm connecting this my virtual machine through this my SSH key. So the username is Ubuntu, and the public IP is here in the ID underscore as a public, which is under .ssh file. So this is my about VM code, and this is my web server.sh script. So I'm taking the shebang line /bin/sh. Then I'm going to install, first I'm going to update this server. Then I'm going to install Apache 2 PHP, the required libraries. After that, I'm going to download this wget -o tmp under tmp wordpress.tar file. Then I'm extracting this tar file by using this command tar-xzvf /tmp wordpress.tar.gz, and I'm copying this whatever the extracted file to this whatever the available site in the wordpress.config. Then I'm replacing this HTML WordPress old one with the new folder VTC Apache 2 site available. Then I'm taking the status systemctl reload Apache 2. Then finally I'm giving the access permissions ch1-r for this www-data under the var www WordPress. Similarly, we need to create the IP for the DB. So this is the DB code, and we need to create the again network interface for also. So Azure RM network interface, then the name, location, and the resource group name, this one, and the IP configuration. Here we are taking DB server NAC configuration. You need to connect with your subnet ID, and also the private IP address allocation dynamic, and your public IP address is this one, DB server public IP.id. Once you connected your once you created network interface, you need to attach with your security group. So now we are going to connect with security group to the network interface of DB. So this is the resource Azure RM underscore network underscore interface underscore security underscore group underscore association, and this is my name, and you are connecting with network interface ID as well as security group ID. Again, with the subnet network security group level, you need to associate with your subnet ID as well as your network security group ID. Once you have connected these two, then this is for DB server, where I have taken the name, the location, resource group, everything is same. So I have taken the size also same. Then admin username Ubuntu, network interface IDs. Then this is custom data. So base64 encode and db server.sh. So in this file, I have the db installation commands. Everything is inside this file, have kept, and this is the OS disk, storage account, standard LRS. So this is as we discussed, and connecting this db through the admin SSH key. So this is the installation commands for the db purpose. Again, we are updating this in the inside the server, and we are going to install this MariaDB server and we are going to replace this with etc mysql mariadb.config. Then we need to start this mariadb service. After that, once I'm in the db server up and running, okay. So here mysql -e set password for your local host password, and this is my password, giving the privileges, flush privileges. Then we are going to grant the permissions with the root password, grant all on dot to the admin localhost, identify the password with the grant option with flush privileges. Once you do done this, you going to enter into the MySQL server, MySQL-u admin password delete from MySQL.user where user is, then MySQL-u admin password delete from MySQL.user where user is root, and you are deleting this root user and you are creating one more user. So yeah, MySQL-u admin password drop the database delete from MySQL.db where db is test. So now you are now going to create one more database and also the new user. For that, this is the commands MySQL-u admin -password-e create database wpdb, and creating the user wp user with the local host identified by password. This is the password, and MySQL-u admin password grant all on for this database. We're giving the everything permission with the root wp user with the password with grant option. So MySQL-u admin password-e grant all on dot to the wp user with this password. After that, we are going to restart this MariaDB service. So once you have installed everything, so then we will execute this plan of execution Terraform, where I can open in my folder local. This is my local folder. I'll execute cmd here from my current path. I will do code space dot enter. So this is my code. This is my folder, Azure WP2, where all my files are there. So now I am executing from exit login. First I am going to log in into the my Azure cloud, where it will ask your account. So this is my account. So click on continue. So it will retrieve your tenant ID as well as subscription ID. So this is my subscription ID, and tenant is default directory. So this is okay. Now changes, just enter. Okay. Okay, so I have logged into my account. Now I'm executing Terraform init to initialize my repository, to initialize my backend with the latest version. Terraform has been successfully initialized. So now I will run the Terraform validate to validate my code. Okay, so everything is valid, success. So I'm going to plan my infrastructure by using Terraform plan command. So basically it will show the whatever you are going to create the resources. So this Terraform plan command will describe the resources of your infrastructure. Yeah, finally, the plan shows that 18 resources are going to add, and this is my output public server IP. You can check also here what are the resources is going to create. You can check everything. If it is missing something, uh, you can uh, you can go to uncheck. So once you are clear with your infrastructure, then execute terraform apply command, so that it will execute whatever your required resources. So this terraform apply command will talk to the Azure Resource Manager. Then that Azure Resource Manager will create the infrastructure in the Azure cloud. So just enter yes. So this all 18 resources is going to create with the help of this terraform apply command. Uh, while this is terraform is basically talking to the Azure Resource Manager. So that ARM is the responsible for creating the every resource in the Azure Cloud portal. See, it is creating first resource group, then network, virtual network security group, then DB server subnet, so it is creating. Okay. So while in between we'll discuss the other one. So it is creating virtual machine. Sorry. We'll see in Azure. Okay. I'll log into this. Okay. So okay, apply completed. So it has created 18 resources. So as we expected, this is my public web server IP where you can see the resources. This is my RG underscore demo 2 type. So this is we have given the resource group. You can check here the variables. This is the name RG underscore demo 2 type. If I open this resource group where all the resources are present inside this resource group, like DB servers, network security group, then DB server subnet, then DB server virtual machine. Similarly, DB server public IP. Then for web server also same. Then this is the virtual network, web server, network security group, web server, NSG, web server VM, then disk, then network interface card for both, then finally public IP. So now we'll see this, verify from this public IP of web server. It will take some time to load the WordPress. So again, I will check. Okay, first it has installed Apache 2. Again, you can refresh the page. So it will load the WordPress. Okay, now we'll discuss this Python automation code. Okay. Where I will open in my local also. Wait. This one. CMD code dot. Okay. So basically here, so as we see now Terraform code, now we will see the Python code. So this is the first line. So import time, and basically they will importing the time module for this potential operations. Then the next one is these all commands will importing the Azure SDK libraries for the authentication as well as managing the resources. So this is from Azure.identity. Import default Azure credential. So it will handle the Azure authentication. Then from Azure.management.resource, import resource management client. So this will manage the Azure resource group. From Azure.management.network, import network management client. So it will manage the Azure networking part and everything components for this under this network. So again, from Azure.management.compute, import compute management client. So it will manage the Azure virtual machines. So one is for Azure authentication, one is for Azure resource group, then this one is for Azure networking, then this one is for managing Azure virtual machines. Then import base 64. Basically this is using for the script, bash script. Basically this will convert the bash script into the base 64 format. Base 64 format for the Azure VM Cloud Init in the form of Cloud Init. Then this is the subscription ID. We can replace with your subscription ID. Then here I'm following the resource group. So define your resource Azure region and as well as resource group details. So this is the resource group name. So you can give your resource group name. This is my location. This is my virtual network underscore name. This is my virtual network name. Then this is my web server subnet name. This is my DB server subnet name. Subnet for the database server. So next, you need to authenticate by using this default Azure credential. So for that, I'm taking the credential variable. So this is the default function Azure credential. Then after that, you need to initialize your Azure client to interact with the different services. So for that, you need to take one resource client variable and you need to manage the all resources. So this is resource management client function. It will take the credential and subscription ID. Then for network, you need to manage the network also, right? So again, for that, network client ID. So network management client. Then this is the function credential subscription ID to manage the networking part. Then for compute, again compute underscore client, compute management client. Then this is for credential and subscription ID to manage the virtual machine part. After that, creating the resource group. So this is the function resource underscore client dot resource groups dot create. Then the name resource group name and the location is location. For creating virtual network, so for virtual network we need some parameters: a location, then address space. This is our CIDR. You need to define your virtual network CIDR range, then network client and virtual network. This is the function network client dot virtual network create function. Under this, you are going to take the resource group name, virtual network, and the parameters, and it will give the result function dot result function. After that, we are going to create web server subnet. So everything as is discussed here in the code itself, importing the time, then importing the Azure SDK libraries to manage the authentication, to manage the resource group, to manage the Azure networking, as well as compute part. After that, we are giving the subscription ID, then we are giving the variables, defining the variables for Azure region and resource group details. Okay. Then we are defining the Azure clients to manage the Azure resources as well as networking part and virtual machine. Then we create a resource group function, the location and resource group name. So now we are creating the web server subnet and the database server subnet. For that, we am taking the web server subnet parameters. Like this is the CIDR block for the web server subnet. Then I'm going to create the function with network client dot subnets dot create function with the resource group name, then virtual network name, then virtual web server subnet name, and web server parameters dot result function. Similarly, for the database server subnet, again taking the DB server underscore subnet underscore parameters, again taking the CIDR block for the DB subnet, and I am taking the network client subnets function with this all these arguments: resource group name, virtual network name, then DB server subnet name, then DB server subnet parameters, and it will give the result dot result function. Then finally, this is the function to create the network security group with roles. So def create network NSG. Then this is my arguments I'm passing to the function NSG underscore name, then roles. So in this NSG underscore parameters, so these are the parameters we need to consider: location, then security group roles. So this is my function returning the network client with the network security groups. By this is the function actually. So it will take the resource group name, then network security group name, then network security parameters, and it will give the result. You need to define your network security group for the web server. So this is the rules SSH. Then so these are all as we discussed in Terraform code for rules, network security group rules. Protocol is TCP, then inbound access, and the SSH port is 22. Then HTTP, one more rule is HTTP. So we are giving the priority 1002. Protocol is TCP, and then port range is 80. Then this is the function create NSG. So with the web server NSG with the web server NSG rules. And also we need to define the security rule for the database server. Again, the database rules is, again, we are going to allow the inbound access for the SSH with the 22 port number, and also the for accessing the DB server, we are giving the MySQL. So that port range is 3306 with the inbound access, and this is the function. After that, I'm going to create the public IP for web server. So you are taking the parameters, public IP parameters. So what is the location? Then what is the IP allocation method, static? Then this is the public IP. This is the variable which will store this function network client dot public IP address by creating the function. Inside this function, these are the arguments: resource group name, then web server public IP, then public IP params dot result. After that, creating the subnet for this web server. So I'm taking the subnet parameters where my CIDR range is 10.0.4.0/24, and I'm taking the subnet variable to store this function network client dot subnet by creating function. With this function, I'm taking the arguments resource group name, then my VNet, connecting the my VNet, then web server subnet, then subnet parameters, and giving the result function. So again, creating the network interface for this web server, I'm taking the NAC parameters like location, IP configuration, the name, the subnet, and private IP allocation, then public IP address for this network interface for the web server. Then NIC, network client. So this is like connect the network interface with your subnet. So this is the function. Okay. Function to create this resource group name with your web server NSG, then NIC parameters, and you need to define your custom script. So this is the custom data script under this /bin/bash. So you are going to install this Apache, then WordPress in the VM, which web server VM. All these steps. So this is the encoded custom script, where this is the variable encoded custom data variable. It will take this base64 function to store this all the custom data in the form of UTF-8 characters, and it will decode into this UTF-8. Then this is the code for virtual machine for web server to deploy the WordPress. So these are the parameters for this virtual machine: location, then the size of the VM size, and what is the voice, like what is the name of this virtual machine. So what is the admin username, what is the password, and what is the custom data you are going to install in this VM, and also what is the storage profile, what is the disk, and what is the storage account you are taking, and what is the image, the OS image you are taking, and what is the version. You need to mention all these things for this VM creation. So finally, this is the VM virtual machine creation. So virtual machine, then this is, you need to take the client, compute client to manage this client, then virtual machine function where you need to take your arguments. Similarly, for IP for the web server, you are taking the IP address for the web server to access this. website. So you need to create the subnet for DB server. So this is the subnet parameters DB. So this is your CID or range for the DB server subnet. Then you are taking the subnet DB variable where you need to manage your network client details with the function. Then resource group name vnet, then DB server subnet and the DB subnet parameters. So again, you need to create one network interface for this DB server. So again, these are the parameters: location, configuration, then DB server configuration, what is the subnet, what is the private allocation. So all this you need to include in the parameters to create the network interface for DB server. So here we are maintaining the network client with the DB server, connecting by creating this network interface function where you can taking the parameters resource group name, the DB server NAC, then NAC param DB, and it will give the result. So here we are going to take the script bash script to in order to set up the MySQL on the DB server. So this is the custom data script where you are going to update and install the MariaDB server. And once you updated, you are going to start the MariaDB server. So by starting and enabling, so your MariaDB server is up and running. So you are going to secure your MySQL installation by setting up your password and creating the DB user. So these are all the steps for creating the DB data as well as DB user and giving the full access to this user. So after that, you are going to restart your MariaDB server. So finally, we are going to create the virtual machine for this DB server. So this is the parameters for the DB server, like location, OS profile, what is the size of your VM, then what is the admin username, password, and what is the custom data you have taken for this to install DB installation in the DB server, and also the storage profile. What is the OS disk? What is the OS image? And what is the version you are taking? And what is the network profile you are considering while connecting this network interface card DB? So this is the function, virtual machine function to create the DB server. So VMDB is the variable, and this is my function. Compute.client will manage the compute resources with virtual machine. I'm taking the arguments resource group name and DB server VM as well as VM parameters DB dot result. So you can see here in my local. So whatever I have explained the code, everything is here. Script, custom data script. So this is for VB parameters for virtual machine. This is for MariaDB installation on the DB server. So again, I need to log in into my server. Now I need to install the dependencies. Pip install Azure Identity, Azure Management Resource, Azure Management Network, then Azure Management Compute. This I need to install. Okay, let me manually enter pip install. Azure Identity space resource Azure-MGMT network space MGMT compute, enter. Pip install Azure-identity. Okay, this is Azure-MGMT resource. Okay, come to the resource MGMT resource. Okay, just enter. So it will install the predefined libraries for this Azure handle the resource group networking and the virtual machine part. Now I will execute. If you want, you can view this whatever the commands executed with this pip list. Find string Azure. So it will show whether it is installed or not. Now you can execute Python install _wp.py. You can run your script now. Python install _wp.py. Just run. So this is my resource group name is my resource group. Okay, so you can see here there is no resource group. My resource group here there is no resource group. There are only two only. This one. Okay, I will delete this RG demo tutor. I will delete this from Terraform. So there is no my resource group here. Okay, so I will discuss this delete resources.py while creating the infrastructure. So everything is same. The code import time, then from Azure.identity, import default Azure credential. So this is the same. See, I'm taking Azure subscription ID. Okay, so my web server public IP is created. Okay, we'll discuss this. So this is the region, then this is the resource group details. Resource group name variable. My resource group is the name. Location is TVS, VNet name with virtual network. Then the web server subnet name. Then these are all the same. So I'm authenticating the my credential variable with the default Azure function. Then I'm initializing my Azure clients in order to manage the resource group as well as network part and as well as compute part. So you need to take one variable resource client and manage this resource management client and also network client. Then similarly compute client. Then this is the function to delete the virtual machine. Basically, in Python automation script, for in order to delete the infrastructure, like you are reversing the order. Basically, you are coming from the reverse order. So basically, if we are creating the architecture from the resource group, but here we are deleting the infrastructure from the reverse order. First one is virtual machine, after that subnet, after that virtual network, after that resource group finally. So first we are deleting the virtual network of the web server. So this is the function. Then this is the compute client to manage the virtual machine. This is the function. So taking the arguments resource group name and VM name and dot result. Then I'm deleting the virtual machine for DB server similarly same. Then I'm deleting the network interface for this web server. So this is my function, delete NIC name. Then this is my network client to delete the function with this network interfaces name. Then similarly delete the network interface for DB server as also. So def delete DB NIC name. This is my parameter and this is my network client is. So it will manage the network and with this function. After that, I'm deleting the public IP for web server. Def deleting the public IP. Then print deleting public IP with IP name. And this is my network management client dot public IP address function, and it will give the result. Deleting the public IP for DB server also. Same, taking the function, then printing this, deleting DB public IP with IP name, and taking the network client management with the public IP address function, and finally it will print the result in the function. Then deleting the subnet for the web server, then deleting subnet for DB server, the same one, then deleting the network security group for web server, and also deleting the network security group for DB server. So everything is same. You need to take the function, then print, and you need to take care of this client management. So deleting the virtual network, after that deleting the resource group finally. So once you run the script, so it will delete all the in the reverse order. First one VM, then DB, after that network interface code, after that DB network interface code, after that public IP, after that subnets, after that network security group rule, finally resource group. Okay, now we will see this public IP we created already. If I refresh my portal, so this is my resource group I've created with script. Now I will execute this IP. So this is my WordPress. So actually that DB part is getting error actually. So now if I run this Python, okay, delete underscore resources dot py. So it will delete the from the reverse order. It will take time. Some So this is the code for to deleting the resources using Python script we discussed. So this is the references I have taken while doing the developing this demo using Azure HashiCorp official website, and for the Python script I have taken the reference from this Azure Management Resource Python document official documentation. So deleting the VM, then deleting DB. So network interface code deleting, DB network interface code deleting, then deleting public IP, web server public IP.
Shiva, you explained code snippets very well. Okay. uh, you continue with the
So,
same way in other demos also. Are you able to hear?
yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So let it delete in offline. Anyhow, you have explained the code also for deletion modules also. So we'll stop the recording and
Okay.